This is the Hoover Turbo 300 powerhead from our compact electronic total system that we saw in a video earlier. This head needs some work, so in this video let's get inside it and see what's going on. Now these heads are actually very reliable units. They work very well too, but this one is sounding a bit rough and I think we need to give it some love, to be honest with you. I have just noticed that the axles are very worn on these rear wheels. I'll show you in a sec. But first of all, we need to get inside it to see what's going on. So let's do that now. Now they are quite simple heads, to be honest with you. There's not a great deal of complexity going on here. These T-pieces used to break. I remember having some of these in stock in my friend's shop back in the day. So they tended to fracture here on the neck. It's because they are quite stiff to get up and down. So yeah, they tended to go where the plastic got weak. If I can just show you here as well, you'll see on these wheels, can you see the scoring there? If it'll focus, yeah. See how the wheel is scored? That's because the axle is worn. And it's the same story over here as well, unfortunately, on this wheel. You see the scoring there. Not much you can do about that, sadly. We're just going to have to make do with worn wheels. In fact, you can see the play there in that axle. That is not what it should do. That is not how it was when it left the factory. I can also show you the serial number and the ratings plate. So it's January 1987 on this, which matches up nicely with our compacts. I am going to do a video soon about Hoover serial numbers. I just need to plan it and get round to actually doing it. So yeah, I will do that at some point. So first of all, let's whip this base plate off. There we are, 2 screws to do that, and then we can lift the metal base plate off. It's quite nice to see a nice metal plate. That's good. And here we are inside. It's very simple in there. And we have a belt, which I believe is for a Hoover Junior 1104 or 1036. It's certainly not the belt that would normally be put in one of these power heads, but I guess if you're stuck for a belt, then yeah, you put in what you can find. We will keep that actually, because that could be very useful. It doesn't look to be very old. And we have another ceramic pulley, would you believe? Look at that. Another ceramic pulley. We've had quite enough of those on the channel. And that will also break if we should try and take it off. So let's just pop the brush roll out. I did want to check the brush roll because I thought it was a bit clattery. But actually, it looks okay. There's the end cap. Hopefully we can focus on that. One end cap. Oh no, it's not okay at all. There we go. That's the reason why we have a noisy brush roll. The end cap's broken. Unfortunately, that's what it should look like, and that's what it does look like. So yeah, not sure we can do much about that. I guess when it's put back in, it'll have to go in that way around, like that. So it might be a bit better. I don't think there's much I can do about it, to be honest. These don't spin at a particularly high speed, so we might get away with that. We might do. We'll see what happens anyway. The tension of the belt, when we put a smaller belt on there, should reduce any noise. So now we need to take the screws out of this base here, and we need the correct driver for that, which I think is this one. It's a Torx screw. I think that's the correct one. Yeah. So, right, I'm just going to whip out all these screws and then we will see inside the head itself. There we go, that's the screws removed. Now, there's one very important thing I must tell you if you're ever going to be working on one of these, and it's that most of the screws are this length, and one of the screws, just one of them, is this small little stumpy one here. Now that always goes in that position, and you mustn't forget that. If you try and put one of these longer screws into that hole, what will happen is it will screw through into the top, and it will come through as like a little like a little blister, really. And you really don't want to do that because it will spoil the look of your head. I've done that numerous times over the years because I forget, which is very silly. And then we've got screws flying everywhere. So let's try and get those screws out. There we go. There's all the screws. And now let's remove the top of the power head. Should just come away like so. It should do. There we go. And it comes off. And there we go. That's the inside of our power head. Again, as I say, very, very simple. There's not much going on here at all. Let's pull the wires off the switch if we can. Oh god, they're really tight. There we go. Okay, so that's our power head motor cover out of the way. What dates have we got on here? Can we see? Yep, 86. So 1086. So it was, yeah, manufactured October 86. Well, this piece of plastic was anyway. So then we are into the main gubbins. So we want to get this motor out, and I think I might need a slightly larger. Oh no, that's okay. We're good. We're good. We can get those screws out so they hold the motor in place. Can I try and rescue them? That's one. I'll put those separate because they're slightly different. And now we can pull out the motor. There we go. Lovely, nice and easy. Get that screw. And then now, can we remove the tags? Yes, you can. I'm always quite wary of these because you don't want to break anything. And there we go. There's our tiny little power head motor. Really small little thing. So let's see if we can give this a little mini service and hopefully quieten those bearings down. There's a lot of hair wrapped around that pulley. Yeah. Ooh. I think that's most of it. I'm just going to get a knife and I'm going to work on this and then try and take it out of there. Well, I think I've got most of the hair out of the way, so there's no play in the bearings. They do feel a little bit rough, so let's pop some oil in. Going to need a decent amount here because there's quite a drop to the bearing itself, so let's try that. And whilst we're here, we'll just clean this off a little bit. So it's a sleeve bearing at the top and a ball race at the bottom. Now, can we get some oil in there? Slightly tricky. Might be able to get a little bit past that, but it feels like it's not the top bearing. The top bearing is absolutely fine. It is the bottom bearing that's a bit rough. I think that's better. Let's try a bit more. It's very dry, very, very dry. There we go. Yeah, that does feel freer, but that's good. These little motors are really not built to take apart. You can do it. You can see there's a couple of bolts that run down either side here. So you can take them apart, but it's not recommended. With that pulley, it's quite dangerous. So let's pop this back in here. We've got a suppressor there, barrel type suppressor. Shall we get rid of that? I think we probably should. So where's that going? It's going into here. So let's undo that. Oh yeah, it's like double crimped. You see that there's two wires into one. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take the snips and we'll cut that off. Where have they gone? Rubbish on this bench. So let's get rid of that black wire. Like so. Pull that away. And come to this end. Yeah, again, it's just like 2 into 1. So let's snip that off. Here we are, and we can say goodbye to the suppressor. Bye bye suppressor, we don't need you, go away. Pop this neutral back in. There we go, do that up. Okay, we've got the base back, so let's get this motor back in. So we want to get these wires on first. So this one goes underneath. That goes in there, like so. And then this one goes on top, in here. There we go. And then we can slide the motor back in, like that. There's a little rubber mount here. And then we just pop these screws back in. They'll hold the end down. Anchor the motor in place. There we go. And now we've got our loom coming off this way. So this will attach to the switch. I pop that in there, just try and keep them in place nicely. Like so. So then we get our top and we've got the switch connectors. So we pop these back in. One in there. And one here. Like so. And that's pretty much it. They're nice and simple, simple little heads. So that's good. Not difficult to work on. And then we should be able to clip this back in. Are you going to go back in for me? Yes, you are. Good. Well done. Now remember what I said about the little dumpy screw. So make sure you've got your little tiny screw and put that in the front. Always do that one first. That would be my tip. So then you don't get confused as to what screws go where. And now just pop the other ones in. And that's the cover back on, which is fantastic. So now all we need is a belt. So I'm just going to see if I can find a belt for it. And I'll be right back with you. Well, I found this one. This is, I think, possibly from a Dirt Devil Handy. And it may be a little bit too small, but we'll see. It might do the job. It might do the job. Now, I just want to get this orientated. So we're pushing that. Because I want to get that flat bit, see that flat bit there, I want to get that down into the holder. I don't think it's going to make much difference actually. I think it makes much difference which way it goes, to be honest with you. And now we need to try and stretch this over the pulley, and it might be a bit tight. Oh, yeah, that is quite tight. Oh, might do it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. Well, that's on for certain. That should be okay, actually, and that's, yeah, that is holding it very tightly, so might get away with this, actually. Let's just pop the base on. It's a bit tricky. Bit of play there on that side. That side's okay. Yeah, a little bit. Well, we might have to pack these ends out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's see how it sounds first. So we get these screws done up. There, good. Okay, so now we need to run this, and it's going to be a little bit tricky because obviously we've got this plug connector. So I'm going to have to think about that, and I'll be right back with you. Well, there's nothing like playing with fire, so I've just taped my test lead to the plug here. So hopefully that will give us enough time to just run this. We're going to make sure it doesn't short out on anything. So I'm going to hold this wire and turn the machine on. Yeah, that's all right. That's pretty good, actually. Oh, just be very careful. I'm not touching anything. The brush rod doesn't sound clattery, which is good, and it is being held up by the belt. So yeah, I think that's it's actually okay. I'll tell you what. Let's put the Mina bench vac on it because we can pop it through there. So let's see how this works. Yeah, it's not great, is it? There is a you can hear that bearing. The ball race bearing is very grumbly. So I mean, there's nothing you can do about that on it. It is what it is. It's just use, basically. That bearing is sort of wearing out, which is a shame, but never mind. Well, there we go. That is our Hoover Turbo 300 head done about as good as we can get it, really. It does feel better. If I turn the brush roll around, it feels freer than it did, and the brush roll's not jumping up and down anymore. It's being better held in place, but you can definitely hear that the ball race, the motor bearing ball race, is starting to go. It's very grumbly, and even with all that oil, it doesn't really sort it out. Those motors, they're not much cop, to be honest with you. They're yeah, cheap, nasty little motors, made in France. There's no offense to the French. God, start a war. But that's about as good as we're going to get this particular head, which is fine because it works. It's functional. We can use it to clean, so that's great. I'm just going to give it a bit of a clean up now. Try and get rid of some of these scratches. I won't do that on video. And yeah, that's it, really. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to do the usual commenting, subscribing and liking, because I appreciate it massively. And I'll see you guys in the next video. What's coming next? Oh, we shall find out. See you soon. Bye.